We have been talking this week about the importance of growing up spiritually, and Skip is with me this morning. We're going to continue along these lines. I always like his input because it just brings balance kind of to the way that I think about things, because I have my own way of thinking, and then he has his own way of thinking. And sometimes our thinking, we think in the same direction sometimes. And then in those times when we think in the same direction, he has a different perspective of those thoughts, which is pretty cool. And so it was important to me that he comes out, and that men, because we have men on with us, and so that men can hear as well, because we always want a balance, right? And so as people
Balance is good.
grow, balance is really good. As people are growing, it's critical that you have balance. And so that is the purpose of both of us being out here. And so we were talking about growing up spiritually and why it's important to do that. And so to begin, we want to talk about some of the things that we talked about yesterday. Is that when God shows you that it's time for you to move from one place to another, he either does it through his word or he does it randomly in prayer. The best position that you can be in is one that says, God, I agree with you. Whatever it is that you want to do in my life, wherever it is that you want to direct me in my life, I agree with you. I see that I need to change and I need to develop in this particular area. So he'll show you areas of your life, and he shows it to you over time. He doesn't show you everything at one time, because I don't think that we can handle it.
No, not at all.
No, I think it would send us into a place of depression if we could see all of the spots in our life from a natural standpoint and from an intellectual standpoint, an emotional, soulish standpoint. If we could see how we are in our souls, I think it would just overwhelm us. And so he's so gracious with us that he shows us one thing at a time. And that's the thing about walking with God, is that you will always find yourself working on a project
Mhm.
for yourself, right?
Right.
So there'll always be some area of your life that needs to come up, that needs to develop. And so what he'll do is he'll give you wisdom
Mhm.
to fix this part, but we got this whole thing that has to be addressed. But he'll just give you one piece at a time and then give you the wisdom that you need to address it.
Yeah. That's why they call it a walk of faith and not a run of faith, a leap of faith. That means there's steps to everything you do.
Right.
There's steps to being fixed, there's steps to growing, there's steps to developing. You don't just, a baby doesn't come into this earth and automatically be full grown and mature and know
Right.
everything. There's steps to all of this.
Right.
And when you understand that there's steps to this, then you don't trip and don't despise the journey of taking the steps. And that's what happens a lot of times. You people will like, I just want the finished product, but I don't want the work that it takes to make the product what it should be. The Bible says for us to be let patience have her perfect work. Why? So you'll be whole and complete, wanting
Wanting
for no thing.
nothing. Right. And that's the goal, is to get you to a place where there's a sense of contentment in your heart. I'm growing spiritually. And so I can have a, a sense of peace and contentment in my heart, even though I can see that there's areas of my life that are underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I used to be kind of a Taibo instructor.
Queen.
Yeah, I was the queen of Taibo. There was Billy, there was Shelly, and then there was Melva. Anyway,
Right.
but being a Taibo fitness instructor, what you do is you really work for definition. And as I kind of pulled myself away from doing Taibo, I started noticing things about my arms, that my arms were not as strong as they needed to be. Well, my body didn't fall out. My body didn't disown my arm because my muscles were not as strong as they were at one time. No. What happened? My whole body is now coming into agreement with my heart that says this area needs to get strengthened. And so it's not about coming under condemnation or feeling bad about the areas of weakness that you might have in your life, but it is about paying attention to them. I know that I'm not as strong in my arms. And one time I fell down the stairs and tore both my rotator cuffs. And so I knew that I was going to have to do some work on getting those rotator cuffs. Yes, I believe God to heal them, but I also needed to do a natural work coupled with that supernatural work to bring healing to my body. And that's the way it is for you all, you and I, when it comes to the things of God and strengthening our lives in these different areas. You got to be able to see areas of weakness in your life and then do something about it. Don't let the spiritual muscles in any area of your life become atrophied.
Right.
And if you see that it has, do something about it. Don't be okay with it being the way that it is, because all of us can get better. And there is a way, as you're walking with God, his determined purpose is to bring you to the next level, the next phase of life. But it's work. It's not going to just happen because you want to be spiritually strong and all of that. It's not going to just happen like that. There's work that you got to put into it, right?
Exactly. And the work is, it's not just a spiritual work, it's a mental work, and sometimes it's a physical work. But the reality of it is work. And work is usually something that you don't want to do, but yet once it's done, there's a reward for it.
Right.
And that's the thing that you have to keep in mind. I don't necessarily want to do this, but if I do it, there's a reward for it. So often you hear people say, I want to lose weight, but you won't put in the effort. You can want to all you want to, but unless you do something, it'll continue to be want tos versus manifestations.
Right. Because maximum effort will produce maximum results. Maximum effort will produce maximum results. So you can't just want to be mature in any area of your life and not embrace the work necessary to get there. So I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying that there's so many lazy people. You can't have a lazy mindset and then think that you're going to achieve greatness. No, a person that lays down, the Bible says, talks about the man that watches the clouds, they're not going to sow. If you're looking and you're saying, oh, it's going to rain, so I'm not going to sow, you're looking at the circumstances and judging whether or not you need to get out here and put in the work based on the circumstances around you. And because the circumstances will never be favorable. They'll never be favorable for you, to get out and do what you want to do. There's always going to be an opposing force to you excelling in life. And so you got to be willing to put into the work into it.
Here's the thing. When you're in the weight room and you're lifting weights, what is it that's making you stronger? Resistance.
Right.
And so if you understand that resistance is what's going to make me stronger, then you look forward to the resistance versus rejecting or running from the resistance. You have to look at the resistance. This too is here to make me strong. Mm-hmm. This here is to make me better, to make me wiser. Whatever this resistance is, I can use it as a growth tool, or I can use it as a reason to stay where I am. Mm-hmm. And so most aggressive people, winners, you look at it and go, okay, I see that this weight is trying to push on me. The way that I can get stronger and to make this weight work for me is I have to push against it. And if I keep pushing against it, and I can't just push against it one time, I have to keep consistently pushing against it, and consistently pushing it against will help me develop strength, will help me develop endurance, will help me develop confidence, will help me develop faith, and to help me develop to a place where this resistance isn't even enough for me to get stronger anymore. I got to find another level of resistance so I can keep growing.
That's good. And you can tell people that kept up in their level of resistance. The other day we were walking somewhere, and this guy comes walking by. People who have been in the gym, they walk different. Mm-hmm. They don't even look like everybody else. And I said to Skip, I said, You can tell he's been in the gym. You can tell they just walk with this confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to wonder where they've been. You don't have to wonder what they've been doing. It's evident in how they walk. And it's the same way with with us spiritually. Guys that have been in the gym, their back is erect, their arms are poking out, and they just kind of walk like Hercules. Hercules. So they have this walk about them. Well, that's what God is saying for you. He's saying when you spend time lifting spiritual weights and you're resisting the things that you don't want to do, like Joseph said, it's usually work that you don't want to do that's going to bring the greatest results. And so when you're lifting weights and you're pushing things against you as you're doing the things that God is calling you to do, that's when you're going to see the reward of God in your life.
Yeah, and again, it's consistency. It's consistency. It's really making sure that you do this on a regular basis. There is no days off. There is no time off. There is no, I'ma just let this one slide. No, you have to be consistent in doing this every day, every day, every day.
Say it again.
Every day, every
every
day,
day,
every day.
That is our mantra. How are we going to do it? Every day, every day, every day. When are we going to do it? Every day, every day, every day. What kind of mindset are we going to have? A positive one. How long?
Every day, every day, every day.
And that's the way you got to think, or you'll never achieve the things that you're desiring to do. And so just remember, things are not, your increase is not going to happen just because you wanted to. It's not going, I'm talking about spiritual growth and development. Because when you grow spiritually, then it automatically affects the world around you.
Right.
When you're keeping your life, spiritual growth is not neglecting the natural. And
No.
A lot of people think that it is. They think that, well, I'm just going to focus on my spirit, but I'm not going to do anything with my body. I'm not going to do anything with my mind. No,
right.
It's every part of you working in harmony together, synchronizing
right.
to do the thing that you know that you need to be doing.
Right.
And so
it's 3-part growth.
It's 3-part growth.
Spirit, soul, and body. Because it's so important that you develop all three of them, because think about it. Satan comes immediately to steal the word.
Mm-hmm.
How does Satan usually attack you? Thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. When Satan wants to stop you, what does he normally do? Afflict your body with sickness or whatever. So when you understand that I just can't work on my spirit and then neglect my body, then he'll attack you with sickness.
Right.
Or I just can't work on my body and not work on my thinking, then I'll become full of pride,
emotionalism,
arrogant,
it lends
emotionalism,
right.
Insecurities, a lack of confidence. Or if I just work on my soul, my intellect, my reasoning, my thinking, then I don't walk in love because my heart hasn't been seasoned with the word. So everything is a matter of fact. Everything is, it's black and white. There is no gray. And so you have to make sure that you work on all three of them in concert with one another, right, so that there's a balance.
That's
and
what
there's
you want.
A flexibility even in your growth.
Right. You want to be whole. WHOLE. You want to be whole. When you show up, you want to be whole. You don't want to just be a beautiful package on the outside. My brother one time, many years ago, man, 30 something years ago, my brother was dating this girl. And I asked him, I said, well, what do you think about her? He said, she's beautiful on the outside. He said, but when you talk to her, lights out, nobody's home. That's terrible. That's terrible. But that's what he was saying. He was saying she's beautiful on the outside, but she doesn't have it together intellectually, emotionally. She doesn't have it together. And what we want is a complete package, but where we have attended to our spirits, paid attention to who we are internally, and then move that to then impact how we think and then how we present ourselves on the outside. And and I'll say this, Skip, because a lot of people have often, and now with COVID-19 tearing the walls of the physical walls of the church down, so to speak, it has forced the body of Christ to come into realization that we are members of the church. And so although we don't have the brick and mortar like we had it, we are still the church, and therefore we're still able to impact. But if you came up with a mindset that your spiritual development was only on Sundays or Wednesdays or Tuesdays or whatever day of the week it was that you got your spiritual feel, if you have that mindset, you're going to struggle in bringing yourself up, because you'll always be looking for somebody else to feed you. And we have got to be self feeders. This is great. Don't get me wrong. We don't want you to cut us off. If I got to be a self feeder, I'm cutting y'all off. No, that's not what I'm saying. Don't cut us off. We're here to help you.
We're supplements.
We're supplements. The pastor, all of them, they're supplements, but nothing will take the place of you feeding yourself and doing the things that you need to do for you every day. Nothing will be greater. Nothing will help you grow faster than that.
Let me say that when I first got saved, and I was getting serious about church, I remember the Lord said to me clearly, he said, listen, that individual is great. He said, but he's just the pastor. He's not the master.
That's good.
He said, he's just a pastor. He's not the master. You come to me.
That's good.
Don't ignore what he says, because I'm speaking through him. But the reality of it is, he is a third party.
Right.
And if you want fresh baked manna, if you want hot off the presses, you come to me. And what it did is it made me put my spiritual leaders in proper perspective. I'm not relying on them to grow.
I appreciate them.
No
honor
doubt.
them.
All of that.
But it is
respect them. But it's not up to them. It's my job to grow.
Right.
It's my job to put in the work. They can't pray for me and I grow. I got to pray for me. They can't read the word for me and I grow. I got to read the word for me. They can't make me walk in love. They can't walk in love for me. I got to walk in love.
Right. So you're the one that's got to walk this out. You're the one that's got to do it. And so it's great. Now, don't get us wrong. You should be in a small group.
Exactly.
You should be in a small group, and you should be connected to a local church body. I know some of y'all been hurt, and we have to deal with that. Maybe next week we'll talk about church hurts. But you got to deal with that. You got to deal with being in a local assembly. Why? Because there's strength there. There's unity there. It's not about religious systems.
Yeah.
It's not what it's about. It's about you growing and being around a company of believers, and all of you are putting a demand on God together, and thereby growing together. And it creates a community. So if something happens and your natural family is not there for you, your spiritual family is always going to be there for you. I can't tell you the number of people that we have walked with when their own families have abandoned them. And because they had the church family dynamic, they got sick, church was there. They needed food, church was there. That's the power of community.
They needed friendship
and relationship building. And so those things are critical. Don't let anybody tell you that they're not. Skip says something very, very powerful about one time about people, the fact that we were called to be together.
Yeah, I said it's so important that we are connected and know that we're connected. The fact that God never got rid of our navel shows you that he wants you to know, and that's a reminder that you are always to be connected to somebody. Because remember, your navel is where you as a child where your umbilical cord was connected, and that's where you got all your nutrients, your strength, everything from somebody else, which is your mom. And so he wants to remind you, even when you're out there in this world, you still need to be connected.
You got to be connected. And he said proof that you are to be connected is the fact that you were born with an umbilical cord. You were born connected.
Right.
And so that's how you live your life. The people who say that life is in the doldrums, it's boring, it's useless, it's worthless, it's people who feel like other people don't accept them, other people don't embrace them.
Other people don't value
They
them.
don't value them. And so those are the people that you find that are most suicidal. It's those that feel like they're not loved. They're not, like, nobody cares about
They're
me.
not affirmed.
Right.
Nobody's patting them on the back. Let me show you how patting them on the back works. Stick your hand out, reach it over. You have to learn how to do that for yourself and not be so concerned with somebody else patting you on the. That's part of maturity, is learning that, I got to do this without somebody's affirmation. I got to do this without somebody's cheerleading, because there's just times in your life where there's not going to be a cheerleader.
But you still need to be connected.
Stay connected.
You still, even though he said what he just said, you still need to be connected to a family, a body of believers who believe like you do, who worship like you do, and who love God as you do. And so I hope that we've said something today that's been encouraging to you all, because our desire is to add value to your life so that you can get where God has called you to be. We've been talking about growing up spiritually and you understanding that God has an expectation that you're going to do it. Let me just, two big announcements. One, this Sunday, 3 p.m., State Fair Park, Pastor Brian McKee and other pastors are coming together for a Sunday of racial reconciliation. It's called We Race Ahead. Join me at State Fair Park this Sunday, 3 p.m., here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the church is going to come together, and we're going to have our white counterparts are going to say something to the African American community. And so we want to be there. We want to receive what they have to say. And this is God bringing the church together the way that it should have been all along. We still got a lot of work to do, but this is just one little step toward reconciliation. And so it's important for us to be there. And so that's this Sunday, State Fair Park. It's We Race Ahead. Those of you that are on Facebook, look up Pastor Brian McKee and We Race Ahead this Sunday, 3 p.m. And then secondly, ladies, information, Women in Worship, June 4th and 5th of 2021. It's going phygital, meaning we're going to be physical and digital. And so mark it on your calendar. You want to, if you're in Milwaukee, in the Milwaukee area, you want to fly in the Milwaukee area, you want to be here. I'm not going to share who's going to be with us, but it's going to be really exciting. And so come on.
I can share somebody's going to be there.
Who? Oh, I'm going to be there. Yeah, I thought you were going to really say me. I'm like, you always there. Anyway, love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.